Patches, a beagle with ears so long they often tripped him, loved the garden. Not for the petunias, mind you, or the plump tomatoes, but for the thrill of the chase. His owner, Mrs. Gable, swore he thought every rustle in the bushes was a squirrel daring him to a race. But Patches had a secret, a much softer, fluffier secret named Thumper. Thumper wasn't like the other rabbits. Most would bolt at the mere scent of a dog, a furry blur disappearing into the hedgerow. But Thumper, with his twitching nose and remarkably calm demeanor, had simply sat there one sunny afternoon, watching Patches dig a valiant but ultimately fruitless hole. Intrigued, Patches had whined, a low, questioning sound, and Thumper had merely twitched an ear. And so an unlikely friendship began. Their favorite game was hide and seek, though Mrs. Gable, humming as she watered her prize-winning roses, was entirely unaware she was the unwitting seeker. Patches, with his superior sense of smell, usually found Thumper first. Thumper's go-to spots were always clever, nestled beneath the broad leaves of a zucchini plant, camouflaged amongst the feathery dill, or, his absolute favorite, inside the cool, dark cavern of the overturned wheelbarrow. Patches would sniff and snuffle, his tail wagging furiously until he'd let out a soft woof, nudging the wheelbarrow with his wet nose. Thumper would then hop out, give a triumphant flick of his tail, and it would be Patches' turn to hide. Patches wasn't as good at hiding. His beagleness, all long legs and floppy ears, made him conspicuous. But he tried his best. Sometimes he'd squeeze behind the tool shed, panting softly, convinced he was invisible. Other times he'd lie perfectly still under the picnic table, hoping his brown and white fur would blend in with the shadows. Thumper, however, with his keen eyesight and silent movements, always found him. He'd bound up to Patches, give a little hop of victory, and then nudge Patches' nose with his own. One particularly warm afternoon, with Mrs. Gable pruning roses by the shed, they played their game. Thumper, after a surprisingly quick find of Patches wedged behind a particularly large rhubarb plant, darted off to hide. Patches closed his eyes, counted to 3, in his head of course, and then began his search. He sniffed at the basil, checked under the garden gnome, and even poked his nose into Mrs. Gable's watering can, just in case. No Thumper. He circled the vegetable patch, ears flopping with every step. Then he heard it, a soft rustling sound followed by a tiny, almost inaudible giggle. Patches froze. Giggles? He looked towards the shed, where Mrs. Gable was still engrossed in her pruning. The sound had come from behind her. Cautiously, Patches crept closer. He peeked around the corner of the shed, and there, nestled amongst a pile of freshly cut rose branches, was Thumper. Not only was he perfectly hidden, but he was nibbling on a stray rose petal, his nose twitching with delight, and a distinct, tiny grin on his face. Patches let out a soft huff of surprise. Thumper looked up, then, seeing Patches, took another slow, deliberate bite of the rose petal as if to say, "Took you long enough." Patches wagged his tail slowly, a realization dawning on him. Thumper wasn't just hiding, he was enjoying a secret snack right under Mrs. Gable's nose. And that, Patches decided, made him the best hide-and-seek partner a dog could ever ask for. He lay down beside Thumper, resting his chin on his paws, and together they watched Mrs. Gable, perfectly oblivious, hum another tune. Do you have a favorite memory of an unexpected animal friendship?